It's Thursday, April 23rd. And yesterday, Mitch McConnell, the most evil man in government, made one of the dumbest statements of all time when he said, "Yeah, I certainly would be in favor of allowing states to use the bankruptcy route. It saves some cities, and there's no good reason for it not to be available." How could he say a dumb thing like that? It would be a disaster. You screw the creditors, you screw the people. How about good faith and trust in our government? Are we a third world country? McConnell's comments come one day after the Senate advanced an interim stimulus package to restock funds in the Paycheck Protection Program and address a handful of other priorities. He initially sought to have the bill include only funding for the PPP, but Democrats held up the legislation until they could extract concessions from the majority leader. So he's probably pissed that he had to give up something. But to tell the world that he's in favor of state bankruptcy, it shows the man is evil. He's the world's largest schmuck, and he should be voted out of office if the people in Kentucky had any sense at all. Having said that, I'll move on to my other topic. And I'm going to talk a little bit about big firms getting small business loans. That's an interesting debate in my mind. So what is the definition of a small business? The company that I worked for, we were a small business. We had 20 million in sales and 300 employees. We were a small business. So in order to figure out what a small business really was, I went online and I got something that's produced by the Small Business Association, which is a chart that is probably 35 pages long. And I looked up some businesses, the types of businesses that we would, do business with. I'm going to tell you what's the maximum amount you can make in these businesses to be considered a small business. If you're a law firm under $12 million a year, then you're a small business. If you're a doctor under $12 million, you're a small business. If you're a dentist, under $8 million, you're a small business. If you're an accounting firm, under $22 million, you're a small business. If you're a bank, under $600 million, you're a small business. And if you're a department store, under $35 million, you're a small business. Now, there are other organizations where money is not the issue, it's the number of employees. So if you're a car dealer, if you have less than 200 employees, you're a small business. If you're publishing a newspaper, under 1,000 employees, you're a small business. If you're an airline, if you have under 1,500 employees, you're a small business. And, we all know about department stores. They're measured by money. And if they're a small business if they make under $35 million. So it's very interesting that how large firms could end up getting small business coronavirus reliefs, right? But you could argue that if you're unemployed, what difference does it make how large your employer is? You're unemployed. I'm out of work. So I don't think we've totally locked this thing down 100% as to who should really get money and who shouldn't get money. Okay? So the Paycheck Protection Program offers loans to companies with up to 500 employees. So the list I just gave you here, in some cases, you could have up to 500 employees and still be a big business, right? So why'd they pick 500 people? And why weren't they using the chart? that the Small Business Association has is something I would ask questions about, right? Now, those particular loans that were given under the Paycheck Protection Program are forgiven if the workers aren't laid off. So that money was really to keep people on the job. And that was part of the $2 trillion coronavirus stimulus bill. Now, in the case of small business loans, there were some restaurant chains that took the money, like Ruth Chris. They received $20 million. And the Potbelly sandwich chain received $10 million. And Shake Shack is going to return the $10 million they received. But the interesting thing about the restaurant business is a full-service restaurant is considered a large business if they have more than $8 million in sales, whereas buffets and cafeterias are not considered a large business until they have more than $30 million in sales. So I would think it's very, very difficult to distribute this money to small businesses, large businesses, because the definitions vary so much. Sometimes you're looking at the number of employees. So I could have 500 employees, and because I have that many employees, I'm considered a big business, but I might not be making enough money to be considered a big business, right? Am I confusing you? I don't blame you for being confused. I'm a little confused myself. So an additional $310 billion in small business loans was approved by the Senate on Thursday, and $60 billion was set aside for small banks and credit unions and other community lenders to expand the payroll protection plan or program for other businesses, including those without bank accounts. Another $50 billion was approved for the Small Business Association Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and $10 billion for the Small Business Association's Emergency Economic Injury Grant Program. I'm not sure what all these programs are, but we're giving a lot of money out in a lot of different places, probably with a lot of different sets of rules, right? So as you can see from some of the information that I have passed out just now, that there are a lot of rules and there are a lot of different ways of looking at what a business is really all about. So it doesn't surprise me at all that there's confusion up and down the ranks, and it doesn't surprise me that you can fall into the category of a small business because you don't have enough employees, but you make too much money, or you have a lot of employees, but you don't make that much money. So in either way, there is some confusion, and I think that it's very difficult to get this job done right. And probably nobody's really given anybody any real hard specific rules. And if you looked at that chart that's 40 pages long and you saw all the differentiation, you can understand why this is a difficult project. And there will be glitches. And hopefully they'll be straightened out. And the main thing is that the people who need the money will get the money. That's all I have to say for now. See you tomorrow.